Hello and welcome, fellow bookworms and film fans. Welcome to this week's book review of The Contented Narrative, where we will be looking at Fevre by George R.R.Martin. Now, you might know that name, George R.R.Martin, for his uncompleted works of A Song of Fire and Ice. Now, I don't think we will actually ever see the completed works of that. I have the books down here, and I just feel sorry for the people that have started reading them in like the 90s when he started writing them, because I think they'll probably die. I think he'll probably die before we get the ending, basically. And I hope the ending is better, much better, than the TV series. I didn't watch it. I got bored, I'm not going to lie. But my husband did watch it right to the end, and he kept me updated right until the end. So, this book is sort of like a thriller horror. And it does deal with vampires, but not your sparkly, oh, I'm in love, but I can't, but I can kind of vampires, but more the sort of vicious vampires. You see our main guy, Abner Marsh. He enters into a deal with someone called Mr. York, it's pretty quick that we can figure out that there's something not right with him. He probably is a vampire. But he wants to build the best steamship in the Mississippi. However, Abner Marsh kind of realises very slowly that Mr. York is not all he claims to be. So the suspense that follows is brilliantly dished out. Like, brilliantly dished out. You have two stories running alongside each other. So, well, at first, you've got the beautifully built, like the beautiful building and running of the steamship Fevre, and aboard that you've got the Bloodmaster York and his followers. And then you have the slow decay of a farmhouse owned by Bloodmaster Julian and his slave Sour Billy. Now, we know that Julian's group of people are bloodsuckers, and we can see the contrast between his way of getting blood and York's way of getting blood, and York's way of doing business. And you can see that York doesn't, like, he's not that he doesn't want to be a vampire, he's got his own concoction that keeps the bloodthirst at bay, and he just doesn't want to kill. That's what his problem is. However, you don't have this with Julian. Julian wants everything around him to die. So through these chapters, you get the slow build-up of tension as you see Abner Marsh figure things out, but realise that York is actually a nice guy, and he will back him, basically. But also you see Julian slowly move towards his target. You see this showdown kind of coming on the wings, where you've got York and Julian coming together. Obviously, when you get the eventual meet, it's everything you expect it to be. But you see as well how Abner Marsh and Sour Billy, two people that are essentially working for vampires, how different they are. So Abner Marsh is only really working for Mr. York so that he can have the most beautiful steamship ever that's boasted about for years to come. Whereas Sour Billy wants to become a vampire, and basically, he's a vicious human being. I think it's just so brilliantly written and it's brilliantly done how you look at these two conflicting ways of life, and although they're the same person, essentially you've got Julian happy that everything's decaying around him and he will just carry on living as he is, and he's always there to just take. Whereas if you've got Mr. York, who wants to build and wants to create and wants this, and when you get the first showdown, it doesn't go as you expect, but then afterwards it's almost like nobody really quite gives up. So it's just brilliant to see this human nature, this resilience coming out, and realizing that in actuality, like, all these characters you do feel for. Well, apart from Sour Billy, he's a horrible human being. But it's just seeing the slow decay as well. Once Julian kind of sets his sight on anything, this slow decay of everything, because you realise that they cannot create, they do not have original ideas. They love beauty, but they can't be beauty. And it's, considering that I read the Song of Fire and Ice series before I read this, I wasn't expecting much of this, I'm not going to lie. As I said, the Song of Fire and Ice was good. I think it's overcomplicated at parts, but it is good. But this book, I was like, I'll give it a go. And I'm so glad that I did. I believe Michael bought this book years ago. And I'm so glad that I did, because the suspense gets you the whole way through. It's you've got your heart in your mouth almost. You see time pass, and you see people get older, and you see people realize, Abner Marsh, he realizes that he can't be what he wants to be, but he realizes that he's gonna have to do like one last showdown, but he'll always back the person that he likes. But it is amazing to see these two characters, Julian and York, basically battle for supremacy over these vampires, proving that you can have one or the other. And it's just, honestly, I couldn't put it down. I honestly couldn't put it down. I know that George R.R. Martin has done another book called Windhaven as well, which we have actually got on our shelves. You see, now I keep pointing, it is a double backed shelf, so even though it doesn't seem like I've got that many books, there is a whole load behind the ones there as well. But yeah, so it is honestly brilliant. Like, brilliantly written, brilliantly executed. The characters are so well rounded. They're not just put there for the sake of being put there. Like you find in some books, you're like, oh, brilliant, they've written a strong female character because they have to. Or, oh, great, you've got, the token gay guy because you have to. And it's just, and whenever I come across a book that's got that in it, I get really annoyed, because there is more than just a sexuality, or they're just more than who they are. And it's great to see these well-rounded characters. And even when Abner Marsh sort of loses everything, even just at the beginning of the book, you see his resilience and how he's determined to carry on. And it fills you with hope. It does, because he loves beauty as well. And although he's described as being very ugly, is Abner Marsh. I'm not over-exaggerating. If you read the book, they do describe him as ugly several times. I feel sorry for the guy. But it is a case of even though he's got that, his dream is to build the best steamer in the Mississippi. That is his dream. And he does achieve it. But when a dream doesn't happen, there are other ways of having it. And it is just such a nice thought to it as well. But I would definitely recommend this book. It gets a 4 out of 5 from me. I have read it several times. And I absolutely thoroughly enjoy it. So please do give it a go. And also give Windhaven a go. And I know I'm not reviewing the book here, but Windhaven, again, is a very good book as well. Please don't take George R.R. Martin on just his unfinished Song of Fire and Ice series. Do give these books a go. If there are any book to film adaptations that you would like me to do, or any book reviews that you'd like me to do, please leave them below in the comments. Don't forget to click subscribe and like so you're alerted whenever a new video becomes available. And just remember that until then, always keep it contento.